Hi folks, it's Mike Murphy with another tutorial in my AI build series where I show you how to take an idea and turn it into a sellable digital product using AI tools. This series is more than just about learning the latest AI tools. This series is about taking action, getting into a builder mindset, and actually growing your business on your own terms. In today's AI build, we're going to use Cursor AI, the smart code editor, to build an animated texture rig for Adobe After Effects to make it easy to drop in any texture or multiple textures and animate it with that stop motion hand-drawn style. The idea behind this build is to simply speed up the process of animating textures in a stop motion hand-drawn style that I love. Typically, I take a texture, I bring it into After Effects, I create a composition. This one's only 12 frames long. I bring in the one single texture, I move the CTI to the 1 frame mark, and I trim the texture. That leaves me with 2 frames. Then I duplicate that layer, so I have a total of 6. Then I just move the CTI forward, and I just change the position, rotation, and scale a little bit on each one, just to add some variety. So when you're done, it gives the illusion as though you have multiple textures, even though you're working with one. I bring in that composition. In order to extend it, you have to right click, go to Time, Enable Time Remapping. That puts 2 keyframes. Then you have to do a little razzle dazzle with a second keyframe. Then you add the loop out expression in order to loop it over and over again. But now you can control the speed, and you can add things like posterizeTime to really give it that kind of herky-jerky. This workflow isn't terrible when you're just doing one, but what if you have 5 textures or 10 textures or 20 textures that you want to give the same style to? Well, wouldn't it be great if you could create a rig or a preset, so just with a couple of clicks you could drop in any texture and animate it with this stop motion style anytime you wanted? Well, that's what we're going to use Cursor AI to build. If you're ready, let's jump into Cursor and get building. I have a project folder set up so I can store any of the code that Cursor generates, and this is just a template. So whenever I start a new vibe coding project or a new build, I simply duplicate this template folder, which has all the setup of the folders. I just rename it for the new project. I'll open Cursor, click on Open Project, navigate to the project folder, select it, click Open, and you'll see it over on the left. This is called the Explorer sidebar. If you ever lose this left sidebar, Command or Control B will show or hide that left sidebar. Now, if you want the full vibe code experience, where you haven't created a prompt in advance and you simply want to riff with Cursor and try to have it create whatever it is that maybe you're thinking in your head, press Command or Control I. That jumps your cursor over to the chat window, and you simply type in just like you would in ChatGPT and tell Cursor what it is that you're trying to create. Now, vibe coding is fun, but it can take a little while to get what you want. So for the sake of this tutorial and speeding things up, I did create prompt number 1 in advance with the help of ChatGPT. I'm basically just asking Cursor to create an expression for animating the scanned paper texture, which I'm also going to add to the prompt. So I'm just going to select everything, Command or Control C, go back to Cursor, Command or Control I, that jumps my cursor to the chat bar, Command V to paste. Then I'm just going to drag the paper texture right onto the top there where it says Add Content. And then I'm going to click Send. And for full disclosure, I have not tested this prompt, so I have no idea what Cursor is going to say. So I'll click Send. Cursor is going to read my request. I'll help you create. So far so good. It's not telling me it can't do it. So in Cursor, anytime the code is highlighted in green, that indicates that is new code that has been created. And since we started with no code, it's all highlighted in green. And to accept the file, you're going to come to the very bottom and click Accept File. And now we have a new file over here in the sidebar. This is a .jsx file. I'm just going to click that and drag it into the dev folder. And this is mirroring what we see on your desktop or wherever you have your folder saved. Open the project folder, open the dev folder, and there is the .jsx file with the expression that Cursor just created. I'll create a new composition that we can use to test the expression. So I'll just right click, New Composition. I'll call it Cursor Comp 1920, 1080 pixels, 24 frames per second, 10 seconds in duration, background color does not matter, click OK. I'll drag on a paper texture from the project panel. Let's jump back into Cursor and check the instructions. As you can see, step 1 says to create a null object in the composition and name it controller. Then add 4 slider controls on the controller layer. So I'll go back into After Effects. I'll make some room down here. To add a null object, I'm just going to right click anywhere in an empty space in the layers panel, go to New, Null Object. I'll tap Return so I can rename it, and I'll call it Controller, just like Cursor told me to. Now it says to add 4 slider controls on Controller. So with the controller layer selected, I'm just going to go to the Effect menu at the top, go to Expression Controls, and select Slider Control. Once you add one, it's going to show up in the Effect Controls panel, and we can just duplicate it to create the others. So I'll press Command or Control D, 1, 2, 3, so now we have a total of 4. We'll jump back into Cursor just so we can copy the name. So the first one is Position Jitter Amount. Command or Control C, jump back into After Effects, select it, tap Return, go back to the second one, copy it, Rotation Jitter Amount, Command C, Return, paste. I'll go to this one, select it, tap Return. This one was called Scale, select it. Okay, and step 3 says to copy the expression and paste it on the position, rotation, and scale properties of the texture layer. So I'll select all of the code, that's the entire expression, Command or Control C. Go back into After Effects, go to the texture layer, so that's not the controller, it's the texture layer. I'll tap P for position, I'll hold the Shift key, and tap R for rotation. With the Shift key still pressed, I'll tap S, Option or Alt, then click on the stopwatch. I'll paste in the expression, click off, and we get an error message, which is not a good sign. I'll just add them to the remainder. Option click, paste, Option click, paste. Tap spacebar, nothing's happening. If I change the values, let's just see if anything happens when I change the values. Houston, we have a problem. So to fix this, in most cases what you would do is take a screenshot of the error message, go back into Cursor and say, hey, I got an error message, can you help me fix this? When you are vibe coding or using Cursor to build something like we are today, you are not limited or restricted to only using Cursor Chat in order to fix or troubleshoot issues. So instead of using Cursor this time, what I did, I just took the entire code and I brought it into ChatGPT and said, I'm getting an error message, can you fix this expression? ChatGPT recommended that I break the expression that Cursor created into 3 separate expressions. One for position, one for rotation, and one for scale. This was going to be a cleaner and more stable solution. So I took ChatGPT's recommendation. To get the code or the expression that ChatGPT generated into Cursor and then save it into your project folder to keep everything organized. All you have to do is just copy from ChatGPT, and I'll repeat this for each expression. Go into Cursor, just go to the File menu in Cursor, go to New Text File. That's just going to create a new blank text file. Simply paste it in, then go to the File menu and save it into your project folder. That's it. And it's going to show up here in the Explorer bar. So now when I select these are the codes that ChatGPT generated. And a side tip for Cursor. Whenever you see that little white circle in the main editor next to a file name, that is telling you that that file has unsaved changes. So if you want to save the changes in your project folder, be sure to go to the File menu and choose Save, or use the keyboard shortcut Command or Control S. ChatGPT also recommended that I add a 5th slider called Base Scale. All I had to do was copy and paste one line of code into the existing expression. Then I went into After Effects, created a 5th slider, called it Base Scale. What this allows me to do is simply control the scale of the texture. Is a common problem when you animate on position, rotation, and scale. As it's moving around, sometimes the background shows through. So adding this just allows you to have more control over the scale of that texture. Back in Cursor, even though we changed the original expression and split it up into 3 separate expressions, step 3 is still the same. We're going to copy the expression for position, rotation, and scale and paste them on their respective properties. I'll start with position. I'm just going to select all of the expression here in Cursor, Command and Control C, go into After Effects, select the texture layer, not the control layer, the texture layer. I'll tap P for position, Option click on the stopwatch, paste in the expression, hopefully no errors, no error. Cool. Go back into Cursor. I'll go to rotation. I'm going to select the entire expression, Command and Control C, go back into After Effects. With the texture layer selected, I'll hold Shift key and tap R, so now I can see rotation. Option or Alt click on the stopwatch, paste in that expression, and no errors. Last one, scale. I'll select the scale in Cursor, select the expression, Command or Control C, go back into After Effects, texture layer selected, Shift S, Option or Alt click on scale, paste, Command or Control V, click away, no error message, tap the spacebar, success. We have animation. And we can control the animation by selecting the control layer, going to the Effect Controls panel, and just adjusting the amounts in the controllers. Now that we have built the framework for our rig, it is time to turn this into a digital product. And to save this as the Animated Texture RigA After Effects preset, which I can then bundle up and ship it or upload it to sell on GumRoad or my website or wherever I want, I'm going to select the texture layer and tap the letter E 2 times, EE to reveal all expressions. I'll select all of the properties with the expressions and go to the top menu, choose Animation, Save Animation Preset. Give it a name. It ends in the .ffx, which is the After Effects preset. Click Save. Now all you have to do, bundle it up, document it, upload it to GumRoad, and you're good to go. This is just a side tip, but if you're building digital products using AI tools like Cursor or ChatGPT, if you have a problem or if there's something that you think would improve your product, just ask, is this possible? Or how can I do this? For my case, originally you were going to have to create the null object and all of the sliders manually in order to use the preset. But I said that's kind of a pain. How can I make it so when I go into After Effects, I can automatically create the null and the 5 slider controls? ChatGPT said no problem. I'll make you a script. So now when you open After Effects, you can just go to File, Scripts, Create Controller, and boom, I've got a null object with 5 slider controls. Easy as that. The final steps is to document or to package everything up and then upload and ship it. I create a folder in my project folder for each build called Upload Package. I have a folder for the After Effects project files. This is the preset file, and this is the script that is going to create the null object. This is just the artwork, the cover photo basically. I've got a README file explaining what the preset is, what the script does, and how to install both. Then I've got screenshots. These are just to help with the install process and to kind of get an idea what the product is. Once you have everything, now it's time to zip it up. I'm just going to right click, go to compress, and that's going to create a zip file that I'm going to upload to GumRoad. Sign in to GumRoad, go to products, add a new product. Give it a name, give it a description, add some cover art, thumbnail, summary, additional details. If you look over at the right, you can get a preview so you can see what you're adding. Pricing. Put a price tag on your digital products. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be the best thing you've ever made. Put a price tag. This AI build series is to get you some momentum. Start building a library of digital products. You're going to get better. The price is going to go up. Once you add pricing, you're going to click Save and Continue. Then the big step. This is where the momentum builds, and when you start get that dopamine hit, it feels good. You're going to click on Publish and Continue. Congratulations, your idea is now a digital product for sale. Someone from anywhere around the world might find your product, click on the I want this button, and send you money. And they might love it so much that they tell their entire audience they found the perfect After Effects preset and it's only $5. You're never going to know unless you actually make something and put it for sale. Before long, you're going to build a library of digital products. 1, then 2, and then 5, and then 10. But it starts with 1. That is going to do it for today's build. I hope you are enjoying this series, and if you are, or if it's motivating you to go out and build digital products, please leave a comment, reach out. I want to hear from you. Also, please subscribe to my newsletter, AI Unplugged, and that is how you can use Cursor AI to build an animated texture rig for After Effects. My name is Mike Murphy. Cheers.